Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My guest today is Bradley Schachter. He has performed on
Hello there.
screen and stage. Hey, Bradley.
How's it
You've
going?
done acting and is also a talented musician. So
Yeah,
thanks for coming.
my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's always fun to do
Awesome.
these fun things.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate it so much. And you got your start really, really young. What would you say is the beginning of all that? Was it like school plays, choir, commercials even?
Well, I started off in commercials when I was about 3 years old. Neighbor of a friend of ours, I was playing in the yard, and there was some wild red-headed kid running around, pretty spastic. And the lady said to my mom, "You got to get him into commercials." And she said, and she's from Montreal, Canada, so she didn't know anything about any of that stuff. So she said, "How?" And she gave him a number, and she ended up calling. I ended up getting an agent. And then my first job, I went on an audition, and it was for a Shell air freshener. And they said, "All right, kids." And this is in the early '70s, so this is, back then you wouldn't get arrested for this. Like, okay, they wanted a shot of kids pulling up their pants in the bathroom, and I told all the other kids in the room. They said, "No, it's none of their business. They shouldn't be doing that stuff." And they thought it was really funny, so they hired me.
That's fantastic.
That was my first gig.
And what are some of your other like notable commercials that stick out in your mind that you remember?
I did about 5 national McDonald's commercials: NutraSweet, Nabisco, Kodak, Diet Coke, Fritos, Doritos. I did it until I was about 21 years old, and
Wow.
that's when I kind of put an end to that part of my life.
I'm sure some slip your mind as many as you've done then in that many years.
Yeah, it's been I kind of went to the past, like when I was in college, and but throughout the years, I used to do different TV spots, but it was mostly commercials and voiceover work.
Very cool. Very cool. Now I did see a clip from like a Dick Tracy tie-in on a commercial. I don't
Yeah,
know if
the
it's
Dick Tracy McDonald's commercial. I think that was done in 1988 or something like that. When the Dick Tracy movie came out, I did that. That's actually, you can see that on YouTube. I think there's a couple of them on YouTube somewhere.
I think that's might be where I found that. Very awesome.
Yeah,
Well, let's get
it's
to
just fun.
your first big movie gig, as far as I understand, Halloween 3.
Yes.
How did getting the role of Buddy Cupfer Jr. come about?
It was, my agents would just call him, or my agent would call my mom. She would say, "Okay, you got an interview after school." I'd go on the interview. So I went on the interview and the audition, whatever you want to call it, and I basically got the part when I was shooting a commercial called for Friendly's Ice Cream. This is back in 1982, 83, something like that. I guess before the movie came out, and they told me I got the part, and I was really excited. Anytime you got a part in something, you were like, you would just jump for joy because you're so excited that you got the part. But with Halloween 3, it was obviously it was a fun experience, and the whole and shooting and everything. But I never realized that the popularity of it would last 40 years. So, which is kind of interesting because as life goes on, I've been, when they did the 25-year DVD, I think it's the 25-year DVD special, and then they did 30 years, and then people kind of started watching that, and they saw who I was, so I started getting fan mail. I get letters in the mail with a picture of me, and but I mind signing it. I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't care, why not? And then so I did that for quite a while, and then last year for the 40th anniversary, they had a big convention. So I could never make the conventions that are on Fridays and Saturdays, but this one was on a Sunday. So they made so I was able to go to the convention, and sign things whatever they wanted me to sign, and they would pay me. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to say no to to some. Well, that's my wife. She likes when she brings in the cash. So to me, I'm like,
We all do.
Sorry.
I said we all definitely do like to get paid.
Oh, for sure.
And of course, I've seen the documentary on the 25 years. You've been in a couple of the major documentaries. And Christian Hannah Horror says, watching live, hey, I recognize this guy, Little Buddy. So like you just said, you get recognized.
That's gray.
I'm getting there too. It just doesn't necessarily show on the fuzzy camera.
Yeah, I'm trying to move far back so you can't really see it. I probably should have shaved, but
Yeah, we're pretty casual here. So in that movie, and your scene with the pumpkin mask is pretty iconic. It's used on a lot of promotional artwork.
Mm.
So
You're cutting in and out. Sorry,
a part of. Do they use a double? Oh, sorry, might be my connection. So in the iconic scene where you got them, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. In the iconic scene where your head's melting in the pumpkin mask, how far into that is actually you? Did they use a double or a dummy in the effects at some point? You want to tell us about that scene?
Whole time. Yeah, there was me the whole. They made a mold in my head, and then they reversed the mold and they connected. Then they with however they did it, they melted the mouth to open it up, because before it just looked like just my face with my eyes closed, and they opened the mouth and they connected a tube to the mouth of the mold in the back, and they put all the snakes and bugs through that. So the only part that was not me, when I was pulling off the mask, that was me, and falling to the ground. When the bugs crawled in and out, if you look at the shot carefully, you'll start doing that, and they shot all the bugs and snakes coming out of the mouth that way. And then when you see the bugs crawling over the legs, that was actually a stunt double.
Okay, so pretty far into it, really, was you.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I was pretty much part of the whole thing. I mean, again, when you're shooting it, it's not scary. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's pretty much laughing, trying to get the right shot. It's really not as scary. When I was tearing apart the mask and this, and they were just trying to, do it slowly and as if you're, going through it. And this is what I remember. This is, geez, yeah, over 40 years ago, 39 years ago, and so. They basically, but most of the time it was me, except at the end when the bugs and snakes came out.
That's great. It's great, and I'm sure it feels pretty cool to be part of one of the biggest horror franchises and movies. And it's something I've said before. It'd probably be around a very long time, if not forever, as far as like horror movie history. So that's cool.
It's at the time. It's funny. I'm honored and I'm flattered. It's like my claim to fame being a little buddy on Halloween 3. At the time, we just thought it was one of the, because 3 had nothing to do with 1, 2, 4, 5, or 6, now 7, 8, whatever number they're on. It kind of was a standalone thing that they just kind of put in the Halloween franchise. So years later, we didn't realize it would turn into this iconic film because it was so different than the rest of them. And I had no idea that over the years I've met people who one, I just forgot his name. He's in the Air Force. He's in Maryland somewhere. He came out to LA and he had me sign a whole bunch of things, and he was giving me the whole background of how of the history and what really went on with my part that I had no idea anything about. He told me that I was the first child to ever be killed in a movie. So that's what he said. I'm not sure if it's exactly true, but supposedly I was the first child to be able to get killed in a movie in Halloween 3.
I didn't know that.
I'll take it. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, I mean,
sure.
And I can't think of any kid before that movie, honestly, off the top of my head. So it's possibly true. Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, I'll take the record. Why not? I'll be the youngest. First one killed. Yoo-hoo.
Well, that kind of brings up a question somebody in the chat had posted to you. Given the status of Halloween 3 as the black sheep of the franchise, do you think the reception would have been better if it was the first movie in the franchise?
You never really know.
If they didn't have 1 and 2 before.
Right. So I don't think so. I mean, it could have done a great standalone movie. Obviously, they would. I don't know. They should have shot a sequel because it ends in such suspense. But it's a good question. But the franchise has done so well. It's hard to say. I'm surprised they haven't done because of the popularity. They haven't done a remake of just Season of the Witch, the original Halloween 3 or whatever. Because that's what it was. It's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It really should have been Season of the Witch. But I'm not the producer.
I've heard a lot of folks say that. And honestly, I wouldn't call it the black sheep anymore. And I think it's stuck around because it's in the Halloween franchises, and it's grown on a lot of people, including myself. It ranks a lot higher than some of the other ones, even with Michael Myers for me. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now
Again, I'm not a big fan of the movies, to be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of horror films. I'm more of a Jason Bourne type of a guy. But you know,
okay. That
you
was
know,
one of my other
people.
questions, if you were a horror fan at all. So that answered that. Now, have you seen all the other Halloweens or no?
I've
Since
seen
you're
1 and 2
not a
a long
horror.
time ago. I have not seen 4 or any of the other ones. I'm sorry. You know,
Oh,
I
that's
haven't
okay.
really. Yeah, I haven't really been so interested in them. Uh, honestly, my kids scare me enough. I can't watch it on films if you just get more scared.
I have a 5-year-old son myself. I can relate. The children
That's
can be
awesome.
scary. Yeah.
They can. Well, I got 2 teenagers now. I have 4 kids total. I've got a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old, and now I got 16 and 14 and teenage girls.
Oh boy. I feel for you. I know I can sense the stress of that. Now, you told me before we went on, I hope you don't mind me mentioning that you just became a grandfather.
I
So,
did. September 7th, my daughter, who's 23, had a baby, and her and her husband live in Connecticut, and I couldn't be more ecstatic or over the world. You know, once you become a grandfather, you get to that status. You're just
congratulations.
like,
Fantastic.
you don't care about anything. You're like, screw the world. I'm a grandfather. Leave me alone.
Your
No,
whole
but
perspective on life changes.
oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Yes,
Congratulations,
yes.
Bradley.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, you talked about you'd appeared in the documentaries, of course, basically all the major Halloween documentaries that are out there. And I'm sure you get asked the same questions over and over in interviews about your part in Halloween 3. Is there something you don't get asked about often of your experience in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch that you think fans would find interesting, or your most memorable moment from doing the film?
Well, from doing the film, we shot most of it up in Eureka in Northern California. And then we shot a lot of it back here down in, I live in the San Fernando Valley in California. And so we shot a lot of that in a lot the shots of the death scene, the indoor scenes were shot on a set. And, it was such a long time ago. It's hard to remember. But when we did shooting, it was just a lot of fun. When you're 12 years old and you're on location, and my mom, God rest her soul, we were just having a blast doing it. It was just fun. You get treated like a king, and you don't know why. You're only 12 years old, and you're like, why is everybody kissing my ass? So you're just okay, but I'm
now.
yeah. So I was like, hey. But it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. Now, I've gotten more mileage from it from the past 15 years as opposed to just being, amongst friends, the kid in Halloween 3. Over the years, I auditioned for different movies and different parts. And I got really close to a bunch of stuff. My contemporaries were like Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, River Phoenix, guys like that. And I used to, and like Kirk Cameron. I was the redhead dude. If they wanted a redhead, I would hopefully get the part. But most of the time I wasn't so lucky. But it's cool.
That is cool. Again, you went up against some names there, but like I said before, you're in something that's probably going to last a very long time.
I have my friend made me a miniature. He has some guy in Minneapolis makes these miniature statues. He made me a miniature little buddy statue. And we go to spring training every year for baseball. And I give the guys, I make hats, just put patches on it, just for fun, with jackets, just, the swag, just to have fun. And so as a thank you, he got me this little, it's like a miniature statue of me with the pumpkin head. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever.
That is fantastic. I mean, that is just
got your own statue. You're like, you're good,
Heck yeah. And what more is there?
No, it's been a great, honestly, it's been a great run. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of people got a kick. Ironically, I never talk about it in public, unless someone brings it up. But ironically, a few days ago, I call myself, I love going on free Craigslist stuff. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So short story, right before Halloween, I was going picking up some firewood because I just love free firewood because I don't want to pay for something I'm going to burn unless it's a cigar or something else you're going to smoke.
There you go.
And then, so the guy, there's decor all over the place for Halloween. And I'm talking about, hey, you're really into Halloween. He said, oh yeah, I love it. And it was great. And then I said, you see the Halloween movies? And I rarely do this. But I still figured he's into Halloween maybe. And He's like, yeah, I love the Halloween movies. I go, did you see Halloween 3? He's like, oh, no, Halloween, blah, 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 blah. And I remember little buddy, that little redheaded guy, that really dorky kid. He's like, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm like, well, if you want, I'm not going to charge you, but if you want, you can take a picture and just, you know. I've never done that before, but it was a lot of fun. He cracked up. We took a selfie.
I'll bet he loved that, man.
Yeah, it was cool. He was a very cool guy. You know, it was fun. It's just, you know, people are very nice. Once, you know, people think that if you're into horror films, you know, something spooky about you or crazy or weird. I went to the convention, and I took two of my friends and two of my daughters, and my wife came with me, and they were, you know, assuming they were going to meet a very eclectic crowd, but everybody was so nice and cool and normal and just down to earth. We had the best time. People, the fans were just so friendly and so nice. And they insisted I charge for my signature. I charged $30 for a signature. That's what they told me to charge. Hey man, pay for a cruise.
Oh, and I know the fans appreciate when someone like you is so generous and just personable, and
you know,
just a nice guy.
No, you know, again, it's not a big. It's a part of the movie. It was great, but you know, to be full of yourself like that, you realize you're only known because they enjoyed what I was lucky enough to do. You know, to me, it was a blessing. Even in the business, you know, it's about 90% luck whether you get parts or not. I mean, before you're very well known, and I've never been a well known actor. I was just small time, you know, commercials and certain print jobs and things like that. But honestly, I've enjoyed the ride. It's been a lot of fun, and you know, there's too many.
Well, and you've been able to continue to work in a very tough business from childhood to adult. So that's an accomplishment of its own.
I mean, I stopped when I was 21. When I was 21, I went to Israel, and I became more observant. I ended up going to rabbinical school for about 7 years. So I technically stopped acting when I was about 21. But I'm really more of a musician singer that happened to be an actor. I was headed towards a Broadway scene when I was 21, and it ended up being a yeshiva in Israel. And that was the end of that. Came back 7 years later, called my agent to see if she can take my daughter into. And the first thing she said to me, and I had not talked to her in 7 years because I just kind of went in a different direction, and that was that. And the first thing she says is, "Where the hell have you been for the past 7 years? You didn't call. You didn't." Blah, blah, blah. She starts chewing me out, but it was a funny time. But so I've been more of a singer musician for the past 25 years now lately, anyway.
Well, I had heard that you were on your way to the Broadway scene. I heard that somewhere quoted, and you ended up in Israel. Did you do any acting in New York before you went over there, or did it just kind of happen? You were on your way, and then it's like, yeah, I'm going to go to Israel, right. And this all blew up.
Well, I really went to Israel for this. I was going for the summer, and I was going to travel Europe with my backpack, and that was in June of 1991, and then May, the month before that, I did a presentation of a musical at NYU. Some guy who was a writer saw me on something and contacted me through whatever channels, and this before cell phones and email and all that stuff. And so I ended up flying out there and doing like a production of, I guess, a very quick production of like a presentation of a musical. And then I was going to start going back. I was going to go back to New York and start auditioning and start getting involved in that whole world, because I was singing and I was able to, you know, dance a little bit at the time. That's what I was going to pursue. Ended up going to Israel for 6 weeks, falling in love with I lived in the old city of Jerusalem, and it was just one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And 6 weeks turned into 2 months, into 6 months, into 9 months, into what am I going to do? And then the next 7 years later, I ended up, I was going back and forth, obviously, but, I fell in love with the place, and I ended up spending 7 years there. They say we make plans and God laughs, and I'm a good comedian, Tim.
He does. I believe God does have a sense of humor, and I'd love to visit Jerusalem and the Holy Lands. I think that'd be fascinating. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but
it's a special place, and it's not. It's more dangerous to be in LA than it is to be there. Let me tell you.
Oh, really? You wouldn't know that from the information we get on this end.
No. The media can be very, very difficult. Let's say at times, it just can be correct.
100% agree and know what you mean by that. Well, let's step back a bit. And then I do want to talk about more into your music, but let's step back. You played Schroeder in the television special, It's an Adventure, Charlie Brown. Mm-hmm. Tell us your experience on that.
The auditions, they take kids for those parts for children when their voices are changing, when they're like, 12, 13, 14. So when they're talking, they're cracking their voices, when their voices are going from high to low.
Yeah.
So that's when they hire most of those voices for those shows, because that's the voice sound that they're looking for. So I just went in audition. I laid out a couple tracks, and next thing you know, I was in the studio, and they would say the line, and I would repeat the line after them. They would say another line, I would repeat the line after them. That's how it worked. And next thing you know, you've got yourself the voice of Schroeder and Charlie Brown. So I did a couple. Yeah, I think it was one episode and another episode of something of that, but that was about it. It was only a couple.
Well, like you said, when your voice is changing, so you got that small time period.
Right.
So that's probably why most of them only do 1 or 2 specials or shows.
Right. The voices change all the time. But for other voiceovers, for commercials and, animation, I did something for when Epcot Center was just being built in the late 70s. They were doing, voices for that. So I think that's still there. That's, it's in the big round ball thingy over there. But, as time goes on, you just go from job to job to job. The acting business can be tough if you're not working. I was very fortunate and lucky because I never had to wait on any tables. But, I basically just did it through college. That's when I stopped at the height of when things were going really well, because I just decided to go in a different direction. But the month when I was doing that thing in New York, I was going to be auditioning for SNL. We had some contacts there, and I spent the time in the green room. This is in the Adam Sandler era. Adam Sandler, we were in an acting class, briefly together in LA, right when he was making the transition from LA comedy to SNL. And so it was that era. But like I said, we make plans and chuckle.
Some things just don't happen. But I mean, the experience is pretty cool alone too.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, he seems like a nice guy. I met him once.
He's a very nice guy. He's very, obviously he became a superstar, but he's always been kind of a, quiet, shyish, laid, kind of guy. But, you put certain people in front of a camera and an audience, and they can explode.
They're good. Yeah. Well, you did an ABC TV weekend special, which is like an after-school special, I imagine. All the Money in the World, is that right? What was that?
It was called All the Money in the World. It was like one of those Saturday, Sunday morning specials, ABC specials back in the day when they used to have those. Before everybody had a severe case of ADD, including myself. But that was just one of these small TV specials that I did. I think it was 1984, 83, 85, something like that. And then I didn't do too many TV shows. I did one called All the Money in the World, one True Confessions. They're small little stuff. It was mostly commercials and spots like that. But it was all fun. It definitely was all fun.
Now, the last listed credit I found on IMDb, you had a part in the 1990 movie Fear with Ali Sheedy, Michael O'Keefe, Lauren Hutton, and quite a few other names. What was that part?
That was I was the parking attendant, and I said, "You cannot leave it there." And that's it. Yeah, that was my one big line. You probably, if you blink, you will not see me or recognize. It's a very, very small part. There's like a one line.
I can relate. I've done a few of little things myself like that where, there I am. Oh, no.
Yeah, there it is. Well, I once got cast on was it Growing Pains with Kirk Cameron. And it was a smaller part, but it was when he was on New York Heat. And the girl that they hired to be the lead actress in that episode was so bad that they cut out most of her scenes, and my part went with it too.
Oh,
so
man.
I still get residuals, though. I still get residual checks for, like, let's say 80 cents, $1.50 sometimes for a part really that I was not even in the episode.
And that's cool too. I felt that I've done a few background things, then it ends up on the cutting room floor, but at least you get the paycheck still.
It was fun. It was
now
it's fun hanging out in sets, and they treat you very, very well when you're considered what they call a principal actor. And it was a lot of fun. Brought some of my friends down and we hung out, and ate licorice and snacks at the snack stand, and when I was ready to do my parking attendant thing, that was about it.
I'll bet the friends appreciated that craft service.
Yeah, why not? That's my favorite. I love the craft service, but it's okay.
Well, now we can jump ahead. I want to talk about you're a talented musician. I've listened to a few of your things doing my research, and
thank you.
So you said the music started around in your 20s.
Well, I started working. I mean, I've been doing music pretty much my whole life since I was about 8, 9 years old, playing piano and singing, and I did that throughout college. And when I went to Israel, I started doing it. I had a little keyboard that when I was traveling in a backpack. My father, I lost a bet to him, so I had to take my little keyboard in my backpack when I was traveling, let's say Asia, and then when I went to Israel and Europe, and I ended up taking this little keyboard and playing and singing like on trains and buses and little villages and beaches. It was just this little tiny keyboard and it was a blast. So I ended up playing, more songs, learning more songs, and playing more places. And next thing you know, I got a bigger keyboard and I started doing more gigs, and that was about 25 years ago. And I did that in Israel for about a few years. And then I've been doing it in LA for about 23 years. And I just retired from that, thank God, because there's only so much crap you could put up with, as you could possibly imagine. And so I'm not doing events and weddings and I used to travel around the country a lot because it's hard to find good Jewish and American music played at the same time. So I kind of filled in that gap. And now I'm just basically doing children's lullaby albums with the website is Bradley Songs. We're just about to launch it this week, I think. Videos, and the first album is millennial lullabies, then classic rock lullabies, Broadway lullabies, and 80s lullabies, and what's the other one? Country, classic rock, millennial. And they're just basically taking famous American music that were #1 hits and just turning them into lullaby form to put you to sleep.
That's pretty cool.
Videos just to help mommies get their kids to sleep, and for the geriatric age, it's really good for old people just who love that music. Just to space out and watch these very family friendly videos and relaxing in lullaby form. So that's the new thing, and just something I've wanted to do for a while, just to kind of catalog what I've been doing for the past years, and just do it in the right way. If I'm going to do videos and songs, I'm just recording them and basically cataloging them in the best way possible. So hopefully that'll be launched this week, which is BradleySongs.com.
BradleySongs.com.
My name is Bradley Schachter, but it's just Bradley Songs. It's just literally songs. It works. When we're recording in the studio, we're like throwing down the coffee because it's putting us to sleep, even when we're making it. So.
I did check some of that. I got the website scrolling on the bottom, BradleySongs.com.
And you
can look up. Okay, well, it sounds like it's launching pretty soon, though.
Yeah, literally.
And you can search and find. Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I was just going to say you can search your name and find some samples of the music you've done. You've done some great cover songs of definitely things those of you who are watching are going to recognize. So check them out, and then check out the website below scrolling. And
That's good.
I wish you the best with that, Bradley. That's fantastic.
Thank you. So, if it does, it's really more of a thing I've wanted, like a bucket list thing I've wanted to do for a while. If it makes money, great. If it doesn't, no problem. It's just really something I've just kind of wanted to do. But if you're going to do it, just might as well do it right. And, a very close friend of mine, his name was David McLeese. He ran Rhino Records for a while. So he's putting together a lot of the stuff that, as the artist, is way over my head. So it's kind of exciting.
It's very exciting, I think. Now, is there anything that I might have missed that you'd like to share with the people watching before we
share, pictures of my new grandkid all day long, but I don't want to bore you with that. But no, I mean, I just if you want to go to Bradley Songs, and if any of your friends or any of your listeners need if they want a signed picture, just send me something. I'll sign it and send it back. It's not a problem. They don't have to pay for anything, so don't worry about it.
Oh, that's so awesome of you. I'm sure they appreciate that. And yeah, you might get a couple requests coming soon then.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
if you have a picture of your grandchild handy and you really want to show it, please do.
I'd love to, but if I did, my daughter would kill me because she's kind of, into the new mommy
Very
stage. So,
yeah, privacy is important too. Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one, but hopefully soon you'll maybe see one of the videos.
Cool. Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you again so much for doing this and taking time out of your day. You are a very awesome guy, talented, and it's been my pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure being here.
My pleasure.
Have a great one. Enjoy. Have a great holiday season.
You too, Bradley, and everyone. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.